Do you sometimes question if it's all real? Did that actually sound like I'm having some sort of is it existential crisis? Can't even say the word. Is it all real? But you know what I mean. If things just don't seem to be working out for you in life in general, maybe you're a conscious creator now, you've discovered these incredible laws, law of assumption or law of attraction, you're trying to utilize it, you're not getting results, and you're just starting to think, you know what, people who get results are just lucky. It's coincidence. Perhaps you're a skeptic, a naysayer who's like, that would have happened anyway. Well, think about it. At what point does it stop being a coincidence or sheer luck? Would it be after your 30th win? Would it be after your 100th success? Or would it be after over 5,000 successful manifestations? Well, I want you to meet Helene Hadsell. I'm going to be discussing her today because she's going to be part of my Wish Fulfilled Friday. It's all about your success stories, by the way. But the reason I'm picking Helene Hadsell today is because I've been getting a lot of people talking about their doubts. And sometimes, of course, we can't help but doubt or question all of this. I know that I did in the beginning of my journey as well. But she is an incredible example of someone who utilized this law and used it to win every single contest. And it wasn't by luck, and it wasn't by witchcraft or anything like that. It was actually through a method that blends psychology, energy transmission, and unwavering belief by utilizing this powerful law of creation. I mean, Helen wasn't just a homemaker with a knack for winning. She was a master manifester with lessons that could absolutely revolutionize how you approach your desires, whether it's about health, whether it's love that you desire, whether it's financial abundance and business success. Helen's SPEC method could be the blueprint that you've been waiting for to getting consistent results. So stay with me on this video because there's going to be a lot of information shared, and I'm going to break it all down for you so that you can apply it yourself to absolutely anything that you are manifesting. Don't be put off just because she was utilizing it to win competitions. You can use it for any area, any avenue of your life. And I'm going to share with you so much in this video. You're not going to need any more information after this probably. So really stay tuned. Get your listening ears on because we're going to dive really deep into exactly what she did, how she did it. We're going to break down SPEC step by step. And I'm going to share with you how you can apply it as well with some practical methods and instructions. So trust me, you're going to want to jot some of these down in the comments. Jot I can't even talk. Jot down some of these gems that I'm going to be sharing. Essentially, I want you to start collecting all these gems like Pokemon, okay? Because it's really hard to remember a lot of this stuff. And remember what I said, you're probably going to have to watch some of my videos a couple of times to really take in a lot of this information. Like when you watch movies a couple of times, you start to notice things that you missed before. I encourage you guys to do that because there's a lot of things going to be shared here. And I aim to share things in such detail. You're not going to come across this anywhere else. So if you're ready to learn, and if you struggle with anxiety or any mental health issues, that means that you probably need a bit more attention to detail. You probably need more information or maybe a bit more hand holding through the process so that you've got the confidence to see it through. This is the place for you, okay? Or maybe you're just curious. You're wanting to try something else. This is the place for you. Or maybe you just wanted to come and hang out with me and chill by the fire. Then this is the place for you. Happy Friday. I'm Athena Raven. Now, what hot drink have you got? You knew I was going to say it. Everyone sit back, relax, get yourself a hot drink. I have got Red Bush. Is that the same as Rubus? Rubus? I never know how to pronounce it, but for some reason when I was preparing this Red Bush tea, all I could hear was Tina Turner's voice in my head. They call it Red Bush City Limits. I know. Blasphemy, that's not the song. Nutbush, is it Nutbush? But I just had that in my head for some reason. So Friday brain. But it's really nice. Naturally decaffeinated as well. So grab yourself a hot drink, sit and relax. You're in good company, okay? Did you have a good week? Didn't you? It doesn't matter because this video is going to hopefully put a smile on your face. Now, we're going to cover how to apply her method in detail, as you know. And I'm also going to share with you how do you deal with doubts in the meantime, because a lot of the times you're told how to use these techniques, but maybe you've not been given enough information as to what do I do with that stuff in the middle, like the doubts and the negative thinking? How do I deal with things like competition, third parties? And so I'm going to share all of that here through her philosophy, through Helene Hadsell's philosophy and her ideas on how she dealt with them, because essentially she's the competition queen. So who better to learn from, right? You get me? So are you ready? Okay. Let's start off with who Helene Hadsell was, because maybe you're a bit curious, just in case you don't know. She was, like I say, an unassuming homemaker. In the 1950s, she stumbled across this book, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. And she was inspired by the very idea that you can have anything that you want, provided that you know what it is and that you can see yourself already having it. Does that sound familiar by any chance? But Helen began applying these principles to contests. That was her thing. She would start off small, and I believe that the first prize that she won was actually an outboard motor for her husband. And then from there, the wins just started to snowball into thousands and thousands of competition wins, and that included things like Disneyland, going trips to Europe, New York. She won multiple cars. She even won her house, fully furnished. I mean, her results were so consistent and so extraordinary that skeptics, believe it or not, actually accused her of witchcraft. But her nature is so incredible. Her response to that was that it's not witchcraft, it's wishcraft. And I can tell you something, I can absolutely relate to that, Helen. I can relate to you, because even I'd been accused of the same. When you get enough successes, and I've shared my successes, I've proved it to you. There's my card. They don't even get them anymore. Minnie just made it. Essentially, I set the intention and then they manufactured it. This house, I was like 40 grand short. I didn't have the money for it. My physical appearance changed. My SP, my current, perfect partner manifestation, you have seen a lot of these come to fruition. I have shown you, and I have been accused of the same, because people are not ready and willing to believe that we are capable of so much more than we realize. You don't even know how powerful you are. But your power, did you know, can move mountains. Your power can move animals even. Your power can change the very fabric of reality right now. And yet a lot of us are just sitting on it in fear, not knowing, and imprisoned by limiting beliefs that we've been programmed with. So this is what this channel is going to do. I'm just going to keep on at you to unravel these limiting beliefs, because we want to get to our limitless potential. And even I myself still have to work through those limiting beliefs, because I know how powerful it is, how deeply programmed this stuff is into us. So let's look into Helen's SPEC methods. Okay, now SPEC, what does that even stand for? Select it, project it, expect it, collect it. Now I'm going to break it down step by step into practical insights so that you can just start applying this today from the get-go. So you ready to make some notes? Start writing those notes, those gems in the comment section. I want to see. Now, first step, select it. Helen emphasized the clarity, that the importance of having clarity when it comes to manifesting anything. You can't win a prize, you can't win anything as far as she was concerned unless you have that clarity. You've got to be specific. She would suggest that you don't just say you want more money, for example. Say, okay, how much? Or what does that financial abundance look like? Don't just say that you want a trip. Where do you want to go? What kind of trip? Cityscape, beach holiday? She would actually, Helen was very emphatic on this, and she would visualize her exact desire, whether it was a house with Spanish furniture, which is what she manifested, or tickets to a Broadway show. She believed that specificity sharpens your focus and it directs your energy. So in fact, and I do relate that the biggest thing that I notice with my clients is that many of them lack this attention, this focus. Now that might surprise you, because a lot of you, if I was to ask you, what do you desire? You'd be able to tell me, yeah, I desire my SP back. I desire my business to be successful. But we need to actually go deeper than that and have absolute clarity as to what we want and why we want that. So how would we apply this first step, for example? I want you to do it right now. Just take a moment of quiet reflection and write down, if you would like to, or just reflect internally, what you want in precise detail, or as precise as you can be. It doesn't matter if, say, you want a new career, but you don't know what that career would be. It doesn't matter. Be specific about the details around that type of career that you want. So ask yourself as well, what do I want? Why do I want it? And how is this going to change my life? You can use tools like vision boards. You can journal it. You can even research as well to help you to clarify your goals. And for example, if you've never been financially well off, you might want to look at people that you admire and see what they say about it, right? So remember, you want to treat your thoughts as a blueprint almost. So we're all creating a blueprint, and your energy that you put behind this is going to be the construction team that builds it into your 3D reality. Is that a gem? Do you want to jot it down? I don't know. So anyway, you're taking notes? So you're still with me? We're going to go into number 2 now, project it. Okay, so this is where the magic actually begins, because Helen would see herself as already having her desire. Remember, it's not, we don't get what we want in this reality, we get who we are. And so you have to see yourself as already having it, place yourself in that. Before she won her dream house, she actually went to visit the contest house and she imagined herself living in it. She even picked out a lot and she drew up plans. So she had a blueprint for the plans of the home before she even won it. That's how clued up she was about it. That's how convinced she was. That's how clear she was about what she wanted and how much conviction she had behind it. So projection is essentially living in the end. For those of you who have heard of Neville Goddard's teachings, and I teach Neville Goddard as well, it's a concept that he has echoed. So when you're projecting this energy, you're combining that energy with emotion, and it amplifies, it speeds up the process. This is what Helen believed. Not Neville so much, doesn't talk so much about emotion, but Helen really did. And I'll go into that a bit later in the video. But first I'm going to teach you how to apply this step about projection. Okay, so now you want to lull yourself into this meditative state. Everyone is different how you do it. I've also taught about manifesting in the lazy way. So a meditative state could be sat before you go to bed, getting into that state akin to sleep, getting relaxed and imagining then. Or it could be when you're in the shower, you know, my passive imagination technique, whereby you just tap out because you're an autopilot. Great time to impress the unconscious. Yes, you're awake, but your unconscious mind is completely open because it's running the show at the moment. And when you're doing your everyday tasks, you're starting to daydream, you can imagine and impress then as well. Use your imagination with a vivid mental scene, or for those of you who saw my last video, it could be a vivid inner conversation that occurs. But anything that gives you that feeling of having it, you're going to the end, remember? So this is after your dream, your wish has been fulfilled. So imagine, for example, if you were manifesting a new car, you would not be imagining going to the dealership to buy it. You would be imagining that you are in that car, smelling the upholstery, hearing the hum of the engine, driving it to work like you've been doing so every day, right? So the key is to add emotion to it. In her words, is to add emotion to it, to feel that excitement, to feel that gratitude, to feel that peace which comes from having that desire, because you are going to feel peace. Your wish has been fulfilled. How else are you going to feel, right? So that's number 2. Number 3 is to expect it. Now, Helen said the moment that you project your goals, you must expect it. And expectation is essentially living in the end, right? Is, you know, living in the state of the wish being fulfilled in Neville's terms. Your expectation keeps you in that calm, quiet knowing. It's not wishful thinking. She's actually compared it like I have too. I recall her talking about it as though it's like online shopping. You know, you've placed your order now, so you're not obsessing about it. You're not worrying about when it's going to arrive. It's taken care of. She also prepared for her manifestations as well. So that's another thing that she did. And by that, I don't mean sort of being crazy, delulu, telling people, yes, I've got it now, I've got my dream home now, when it wasn't built, but more in the sense that she would be preparing for it as if this outcome was inevitable. So, for example, before she won her international trips, she actually got her passports and her vaccinations sorted in advance. How would she deal with the doubts and fears, though? Well, she would actually dismiss those. She would just dismiss them. And I'll go I'll go into more detail about the doubts and the fears, okay? So stay with me, because there's more juicy gems to come in this, right? But we're going to go into how to apply this stage of the technique now. And so first up, so you're going to cultivate this inner state of calm and certainty. And each time you imagine your end result anyway, you're impressing it onto yourself. You're putting your body through an experience. That's why we feel the emotions, because your imagination doesn't know the difference between something that's actually happened or something that you're imagining. So you do evoke a lot of an emotional charge that impresses upon you, and eventually you do feel quite calm. You've got this state of certainty, which she'd cultivated perfectly, actually. If you watch her interviews, amazing. I do admire her sense of certainty. I have not got the confidence that she does, not quite yet, but one day. And prepare for your desire, I suppose, in a fun way, as though it's already on the way, as though it's already given. So when doubts arise, because they will, just acknowledge that they're normal, but don't try to fight it, okay? It's normal. It's not my doubt. I don't need that. I'll dismiss it. But don't give yourself a hard time about it if you don't doubt it. Don't worry that you've ruined things, okay? So now we're going into step 4, and step 4 is to collect it. Now this step is the step that a lot of people actually do struggle with. It's the receiving element of it, because Helen once said that if you can't even receive a compliment, then how are you going to collect the blessings of the universe, right? So collecting is about basically being open and ready to receive, no matter how your desire shows up. And I can tell you, sometimes those desires, or oftentimes those desires, show up in ways that we least expect it, and at times that we least expect it as well. It can really catch you off guard. So are you ready to receive it with open arms? You see, Helen's wins often came with a surprise twist. Now this is good for those of you who experience the opposite is happening in your reality, or for those of you who are like, my bridge is unfolding, I can't work this out, is this working in my favor? If you're getting thrown off by your bridge of events, listen up. This is for you, okay? For instance, what happened with Helen is that she had entered a competition once, I believe it was a trip to Paris, and initially, instead, she ended up winning an electric organ. Bit different to a trip to Paris, but that's what she won. But she didn't give up at that point. She didn't say, oh, it didn't work, oh, I failed. She actually re-entered using the same 25 words, because that's what some of these competitions require, the 25 words, you know, why would you want this or win this? She used the same 25 words, and finally she won her trip to Paris on her 40th birthday, just as she had imagined it. So for those of you who think that rejection or incidents that are occurring in the opposite direction are some sort of indicator of your failure, then guess again. Because the only time that you fail, and this might be a gem for you, I don't know, but the only time that you fail is if you allow that failure to dictate who you are. You allow that failure to keep you stuck, and you remain in the state of failure. That's the only time that it matters. But if you just take a rejection or a setback as, all right, I'll go again, then you're laughing, okay? So how to apply this last step? You can practice gratitude. I mean, we're open to receiving when we're in a state of gratitude. And I don't mean forcing it upon yourself. I'm definitely not the kind of person to be like, oh, thank you for my roof over my head. Or, you know, I mean, obviously I'm happy, I'm grateful, but it's not something that I'm trying to force a sense of gratitude. When you imagine your end result anyway, you do feel quite grateful. When you have a mindset of abundance, you do feel like everything is working out for you. You quite naturally feel quite grateful, generally, you know, you're quite content because everything's working out for you, right? So additionally with that, you want to stay open-minded, you want to stay flexible, because your desire could come to you through very unexpected means, ways, channels. This is why I've shared so many of your success stories. A lot of them are on my website, by the way. Go check my website out. All the links are in the description box, because your success stories, even the unfolding of many of them, it just blows your mind. And sometimes things get worse before they get better, and sometimes things happened in a way that you never expected, even better than you expected. And this is something really, really fun that you can apply, actually. You could journal about how you're going to celebrate once you've received your desire. So it's like, you know, I've received it and I'm celebrating. Me and my friends are having a drink to celebrate my fantastic job opportunity, and we're, you know, whatever, celebrating my anniversary with my specific person. You can journal about that as well and get that sense of excitement, just as Helen would. Think of it as life being a game. Be ready to play it, but also be ready to collect your prize. So we're all here to collect. Now, I know I touched upon this before, of course, this emotions and manifestation. I just want to note something here, because often Helene Hadsell spoke about the role of emotions in amplifying manifestations, and this can appear to overlap or maybe even perhaps contradict Neville Goddard's teachings on feeling is the secret. And we know that by feeling, Neville Goddard wasn't talking about emotions. He was talking about feeling it done, feeling it real, that feeling of acceptance, essentially, that this is going to happen. However, upon closer examination, the two philosophies are actually more complementary than conflicting, right? Because Neville's emphasis of feeling the mood or feeling yourself into that state, it's not necessarily about elation or excitement, but a deep sense of calm, knowing, gratitude, relief, right? So Helen did embrace that part of it, but she also embraced a wider spectrum of emotions, you could say, including things like elation and excitement. And I know I often say that you don't need to feel that, and quite oftentimes you don't really, but there are some imaginal acts that you will feel that elation, that excitement, that huge sense of gratitude. And so you can use that as your fuel for the energy behind the intentions, as she did. She described emotions as the amplifier that makes your projection magnetic to the universe. She would say that the emotion is the fuel and imagination is the engine. Right? Emotion is the fuel, imagination is the engine. Maybe you want to jot that one down, right? So for Helen, the key was to use emotions purposefully, not sporadically, not chaotically, not forcing yourself to feel anything, but it's about choosing emotions that would align with your desired end. And if you are feeling this emotional charge when you're imagining, and it's good and it is in alignment with your end, then you know that you've got it. You don't want to be swept up by fear or doubt. So I suppose that's why she depended more on the emotions. Plus, I think she's looking at it more from a law of attraction perspective, and law of attraction is very much about high vibe, high emotions, and so from her philosophy, this is what she went by, and obviously it proved very successful to her. But this insight does remind us about the fact that stillness is powerful, but genuine positive excitement can also, in her eyes, accelerate the manifestation process. And when it feels natural, not when it's forced, but when it feels natural, it can. So Helen applied this method, this SPEC method, to win her dream house. I'm just going to break down how she did that. And then I'm going to go into competition and how we deal with third parties and things like that. So I'll just see how this flows anyway. So her most famous win, which maybe some of you had heard, was she won a fully furnished house, £50,000 or $50,000. I forget, she's American, of course. And this is how she did it. So select it. So she decided that she wanted the house. So she visited the contest home and she actually imagined herself living there, which I have to admit is what happened when I saw this and I realized it ticked all my boxes. I imagined myself living here before they even approved me. In fact, they actually told me no. They turned down my offer because, like I say, I was £40,000 short for what they wanted. But anyway, so she went and she visited it and she imagined herself already living there. So she took ownership of it and then she projected, so stage 2, she ended up drawing a plan for the house and she actually began to search for a lot to build it on. So it's like she's already owned it, she's already been there, it's already hers, and now she's looking for a place to put it, for it to be built. And now she's in expectancy, which again, I suppose those actions were as a result of her expectancy. You see, she was driven to take that inspired action. And Helen and her family acted as though the house was already theirs because she would get her family and her kids involved. She even told her husband as well to go visit the house so that he could confidently say that he had been there when the contest people called. So then, collecting it, when the Formica Corporation announced her as the winner, she was already ready. She had her plans, she had her lot, she had her vision in place, she'd already decorated, I suppose, so she was there. ready to collect wholeheartedly. So the takeaway from this is that specificity, belief, and preparation in her eyes are non-negotiable. She didn't hope that she'd win at any point. She aligned her thoughts and her emotions and her actions with the outcome. Now, dealing with the doubts and negative thoughts and the physical reality and competition, I'm going to delve more into this now, because now that we've got clarity in how this is applied step by step, like I say, you are going to have doubts. And I know that, as I said before, Helen acknowledged that doubts are going to creep in, but she also insisted that we just don't entertain them. So she basically, how she believes it is that your doubts are not yours, that your doubts are often thought transference from other people, and so let them go was essentially her idea. That's thoughts, that's someone else's thoughts, that's someone else's doubts, it's not mine, and that allowed her to let it go. So she believed that many negative thoughts arrive not from our own minds, but from the energetic influence of others around us. And this is why Helen stressed the importance of awareness and emotional transference. You see, when dealing with doubts, she encouraged filling your mind and your heart with love as a way of counteracting those doubts. And this is something that I do quite naturally as well. And many of you, I'm sure, do too. You know, I don't know if you've seen Helene Hadsell in her interviews, and if you haven't, maybe you'll be interested to watch some of them. But she's got such a beautiful, calm, loving, positive energy about her. And she said that, you know, she would just love everything, you know, love places, people, even the challenges she would love as well, because it's all energy. And loving it aligns you with what you desire. She believed that to love is the highest vibration that you can achieve and the ultimate tool for neutralizing fear, negativity, resistance. So when you choose to love over doubt, then you shift your energy, making it easier to stay aligned with your desire. Now, this is something that I must admit I have experienced personally as well, and that's why I fill my world with so much love. All right, I'm not one for law of attraction, raise my vibrations. I don't use that vernacular. But to love feels amazing. That's why so many of you are driven by love, manifesting a specific person or a loving relationship being the number one demand, is because love really drives us as that number one feeling, that number one energy that we all want. We are all love, right? God is love. And that's why I suppose I've had so much success, because I'll surround it by love. Even the obstacles like third parties, and then I don't look at them negatively with hatred or anything like that. Even enemies and stuff, I try not to have that, because as I've said before, that's a heavy burden to carry, and only you carry it, and then it ends up causing disease in the body and causing all sorts of problems, as well as a very unhappy life. You know, I can show you, like I said, I've shown you the results of a lot of my successful manifestations, and it's all about having that loving energy and wanting to do kind things for people. I mean, this philosophy actually has really helped me to heal. It's healed my mental health. As someone who had faced severe anxiety and depression, like I say, to debilitating levels, PTSD, I didn't even hate on the person who caused that, you know, my ex. In fact, I didn't have any ill will towards him at first. I did. I'm human. Like I say, we vent and rage when we're going through it. But very quickly did that dissipate and get replaced by love, because I realized the impact of negativity, and that love is transformative, love is healing, and it can help to calm the mind and soften the edges of fear, as well as heal those wounds of doubt. So whether you do that with a deep breath of gratitude or an intentional act of kindness, or sometimes I get moved to compliment a person or share something or help someone out, or, you know, love is really the balm that soothes the spirit and creates clarity in the face of uncertainty. And it truly is. Give that a try. I mean, this is why as well, for those of you who get bullied or who get bogged down by negativity, perhaps you're surrounded by naysayers or trolls or critical people that just get you down, don't be pulled down by their energy. You know, I never let negativity or hateful, jealous people disturb my peace. I've had a couple of people in my life, obviously being on social media, who were obsessed, who were jealous, who were nasty, who projected. And honestly, even some people, some of those trolls, or even some of my or even one of my exes actually, had even said they thought that I had cursed them because negative things really kicked off in their life after they treated me poorly. That's something I see all the time. When they treat me poorly or something, I think that's why I don't worry, because I know that their life is going to fall apart, but it's nothing to do with me. It's to do with the fact that you just know that their energy of hatred is consuming them and it's creating their misfortune. So with hatred in your heart, unfortunately, you're destined for failure. So release that energy. When your energy is filled with anger or spite or jealousy, it clouds your mind. How can you manifest positive outcomes with that? So it is worth it, if you are carrying resentment in your heart, to try and work through that as well. And now if you're facing doubt, I'm going to give you some steps to apply. Number one, you can acknowledge the doubt without letting it consume you, right? Doubt, I see that you're there, but just remind yourself that this thought is not my truth. Okay, this doubtful thought just doesn't belong to me. That's quite a good one that Helen had, because it's kind of like causing a disconnect between you and the doubtful thought, right? It doesn't belong to me. It's someone else's thought transference. And then number two, you can replace that fear with love by focusing on gratitude, imagining your desire like it's already fulfilled. That's a really loving act you can do for yourself, as well as showing love to people or just practicing self-love in general. And then number three, start to shift your focus from your doubts onto the certainty of your success. Act as if you've already got what you want in terms of internally, okay? Internally. Act as if. Now, Helen never let the desperation of scattered energy derail her intentions. She taught the importance of focusing on one desire at a time and then infusing it with a calm confidence. So her mantra, I suppose, could very much be summarized as, your energy is your currency, so spend it wisely. I think Neville said the same about his wife. It's an investment. Your energy, your focus, your attention is an investment. Okay, are you investing wisely? And this is why I encourage you guys to just flood your world with love. Not just love for the things that you want, but loving life itself, loving people, loving yourself, love the challenges even. This energy is going to shift your mindset and uplift your spirits, and it just transforms the way that you move through the world. It's not magic, and none of this is magic. It's about alignment, and incredible things can happen. It's about miracles. It's not quite the same as magic. So how you deal with competition and third parties. How many of you are struggling with that? Are you still with me? Are you still with me? Have a sip of your drink, because this is quite a lot of information to take in. I'm feeling it in my throat a bit. But I feel like it's really important to share this stuff with you, because these are the kinds of questions I get asked a lot. So dealing with third parties, how would the competition queen deal with that, right? Because she had a hell of a lot of competition. How many people do you think enter those competitions all the time? But she had a very simple yet profound perspective on competitions. And it was essentially the fact that it just didn't exist, which is true. Competition doesn't exist. It just exists within you. You're the one who creates the competition. In fact, she would say when you focus on competition, you're giving your energy to someone else's goal instead of your own. I mean, that's gold right there. Write that down, right? You're giving your energy to someone else's goal instead of your own. That's why there's no point having hatred or jealousy or anything like that. You're benefiting the other person anyway with it. So this philosophy, it isn't just theoretical, but this is her actual lived experience that I'm sharing, that she didn't waste her energy worrying about the other contestants. So if you've got third party issues, whether it's someone competing for the same job or the same boyfriend or the same whatever it is, there is no competition. You just need to focus entirely on aligning your energy with the desire. You create from your world. You only have control of yourself, of your own state. Focus there. This is a powerful lesson for anyone who's worried about third parties, rivals, obstacles, okay? If you fixate on someone else, you're going to be dividing your energy and your focus, and it's just going to drain you. Whereas confidence is what keeps you aligned with your goals, right? That's persisting in that confidence, persisting in that internal knowing is what is important, right? It's not like she won her house by worrying about all the other people who had applied for the same competition. She already owned it. In her imagination, in her reality, in her 4D world, it was already hers. So whether it's a competition for a job or, like I say, a relationship, don't perceive the obstacles, but allow Helen's words to serve as a reassurance, her philosophy, that what's yours can't be taken away from you, essentially, unless you give it away by consistently doubting its arrival. So don't give it away. Okay. This kind of philosophy, actually, like I say, her words, if you go to have a look at her interviews, are just such an empowering lens that you can approach to all avenues in your life. This channel isn't about one of your desires, it's about all of you becoming a success in everything that you desire. So remember that, and remember that her method is not just for contests, it can be used for anything. You know, like I say, business, money, you deserve the best. So why not give this a try? What have you got to lose? Now, I think that's enough for today, but let me know in the notes. I want to see, what did you get from this? What have you learned? Let's see some of those gems as well written down too. I want to see what you've been jotting down as well. And share with me, what do you desire? What do you want to bring into your reality? Use the SPEC method to get it, and let me know your results as well. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Like I say, all the links are in the description box of my videos for everything, whatever you need, whether it's success stories or my email or anything. I love you all. Thank you for staying with me here, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great weekend.